Hey, what's up? It's Jakita. I am back as the Married Millennial with another video. If you are watching on YouTube and you are new here, welcome. Please hit subscribe so that you can get notifications when I post a new video. Hit the notification button as well, just so that you know when I post new videos. I do lives. I am uploading videos that I have previously on my channel. So if you love all things relationships or you want to grow in, personal development from or within your relationship and within yourself, this is the place to be. Okay, period. It's the place to be. So if you are from Facebook and you're joining me, hello, welcome. Thank you all for joining me. Please, if you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go to the Married Millennial on YouTube, subscribe, and let me know. Just join me. I mean, I'm always going to be having conversations about relationships, personal development, marriage stuff, dating things, singlehood, and just how to navigate those things. So if you are here for that, welcome. Thank you. So I'm going to jump right into it. If you see the title of the video, it is Why I'm Still Single, right? And I wanted to come and have this conversation because I oftentimes meet a lot of women, and not even just meet, but I work with women. As you guys know, that I am a therapist. And so the clients that I work with are women, either in relationships or they're dating, actively dating, or they're wanting to actively date. And so a lot of the things that I'm noticing is some key things that I figured are why women are single, men too, but typically my audience is women. So I am talking to everyone at this point, but for women, I just want you guys to understand in general why you are single. Hey, Moan, thank you for joining. Welcome. So, for one, the first reason I want to say that most people that I notice are single because they are unaware of why they attract the same certain type of people. They just don't know. Like they don't have a clue. They like, okay, well, some people come to me and they do know why or who they are talking to or what type of man or woman they attract. But then for most people, they are not sure why I keep attracting these same type of person like people. Why is all the men I date, starters? Like maybe he is not, in a job, or maybe he doesn't have a really solid career, or maybe he has like 5 kids, or maybe he does not have his own house and car, or maybe he just in terms of personality is just always wanting to have fun and never really being someone who's serious. And so you're like, why am I constantly attracting men who are not serious? And there are some women that I meet who constantly attract men who are unavailable. So maybe there are some men who, or a partner who is dating, like maybe he has a girlfriend and she find out down the line, or maybe he is talking to someone and like constantly that has been her experience to talk to have men that have been, or with someone else. So it's very interesting that we don't realize. Thanks, Mon. I appreciate you for sharing this out. We don't always realize why and how we attract the same partners or certain people, but we do. So I feel like, for one, if we are very aware and honest with ourselves about who we are attracting and why we are attracting these people, then we can get a clear understanding of what it is about us, right? That is attracting this person. And I'm gonna be honest, as a therapist, a lot of the times that goes into understanding your own habits and patterns, right? Understanding like what are your own needs, what is your attachment style, right? Like how do you get attached to people? What sort of things are you missing that someone can do that makes you just fall blindly in love, to where you start even asking all the questions? Do you even ask questions? And if so, do you feel comfortable? What type of questions are you asking? How are you in the courtship? Like, are you the one who's always initiating? Is that your profile? Like, are you so anxious that you're constantly always initiating? Do you shut down really quickly if there's something said or done that you don't like, or that you feel, this person may be rejecting you? Like, how are you showing up? Why? And that helps you to understand why you're attracting the type of people that you're attracting. Okay. I just want to say that. Next, the second reason is dating out of desperation, right? Dating desperate. That's what I call this. And what I mean is that you are so anxious and have so much of this fear of missing out that you are not really clear about that you will accept anybody. Not, and I'm not trying to say like you just gonna pick somebody up off the street, but like you're really not setting any standards. And so if someone likes you, you like, okay, cool. If you like me, then I guess that's enough to see where this is gonna go. But really, you have not sat down and really understood like who it is that you want to bring into your life, who what type of partner you want. And really that'll come to my part three. But I really want you guys to understand in general that it is about, you can't be dating desperate, right? Like you can't have this. I mean, you can, but I mean, is it serving you, right? What to what benefit do you get what you need out of that relationship if you're just dating anyone just because they want to date you? Like you're so happy that someone's talking to you and to not feel lonely and to join your peers and having relationships or being the person whom is not single at the Christmas party or not single for Thanksgiving or for Valentine's Day, that you have someone that you're like, hey, I'm going to even go back to my exes, or I'm going to even let old dude come back who I didn't like back then. But, shoot, since he liked me, maybe I'll give him a chance. Like, no, all right? Like, no. And you're not just talking to anybody just because they like you. And just because you fear that you're missing out, or you fear that you will never, ever achieve or get the man that you want. And so I just want you guys to understand that it's very important for you to not be desperately dating to where you're so anxious that you are not able to really say, have some discernment, right? To really have some boundaries around the type of people you allow and let into your life. I just want to say that. Okay. So don't just be accepting anything. And if someone is a red flag, I have a lot of red flags. I don't want you guys to be thinking like, oh, well, let me just still let this person in. Let me ignore all the things that I feel like I want to ignore just simply because of the fact that, I really don't want to lose this person, or I don't want them to leave me, or I don't want to be alone again. You need someone in your space. I understand that there's a need for closeness and belonging because that's just in human nature, right? But at the same time, we don't want to be so desperate that we're blocking what we really deserve. We're blocking who is going to come into our lives to give us what we want. So we're just choosing to have anybody around. Okay. Let's be mindful of that. Hey, ASW Gaming SCD Podcast. Good morning, Lauren Van. Hey, thank you so much for coming and welcome. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you guys for being here. So much. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get into the reason 3 that I feel like, hey, Crystal girl, thank you so much. Okay, I'm out here trying. I appreciate you. So step 3, or not step 3, but reason number 3 that I feel like we or women are still single, or people in general are still single, is for one, because you don't really have a clue, on paper how your partner looks or who they are. Like when I ask people, okay, what type of person you want? They be like, oh, I want him to be tall. I want him to be, brown skin. He can't have this type of hair. He got to have a job. He got to have stability. He got to be ambitious. Like that's what people say. Like, maybe even they go down to like kids. He can't have too many kids, or maybe he can't have a kid, but he has to have a good relationship. I mean, like those, that's usually as far as it goes when I ask people, what are you looking for? What type of man or woman do you want in your life? And so ultimately, that's it. And to me, that's not enough. As a therapist, as a wife who's been with my husband for 8 years, as a woman in general who was on a dating scene before, and just knowing so much that I know now, right, from being in this profession in general, that's not enough to know to attract the person that you want. You ultimately need to be willing to literally, how like Sierra had that prayer and what she prayed for Russell Wilson, right? It's real. I think the message behind that is not only prayer, but to know who you're looking for, what they look like, what their lifestyle is, what type of characteristics they have, what are their traits, so what things that you don't want. Like, you really are manifesting the type of person that you want, but you have to know that. So what I always encourage my clients and what I encourage women to do in general, and if you come to me and say, hey, I'm single, I'm trying to find somebody, I'm going to say, okay, what does this person look like? What is their lifestyle? Who are they? How do they make you feel? How do you feel when you're with them? Right? We're going to write it out. And so I have one of my clients, and she's so amazing. We literally went through this last week, her sheets of the relationship that she wants, the manifesting part, the type of person, like how she feels in a relationship, how he treats her, how he is with his family. It's important for you to understand that, do you want someone who's loyal? Do you want someone who, and loyal to what to extent to who? Because you can have a man who's loyal to his friends, you know what I'm saying? To where that he's picking them over you. You can have a man who, if you want to feel secure, right? If you, most of us need security, especially for women. That's one of the biggest things that I always ask women is, how do you want to feel with him? If you want to feel safe and secure, that needs to be a thing that's on your list, right? Going down to, I mean, his physical characteristics is not, it's important because we need to be attracted to him. Because I always say, when you're mad, when after the honeymoon stage is over and you get mad at him and he's pissing you off, because they will piss you off, right? You need to still be like, damn, he fine, but he's pissing me off right now, right? You don't want to be like, oh, I'll, he ugly, so I can just leave and go do what I want to do anyway. You want to be attracted to your partner always, right? I don't think looks matter as like the number one thing, but I think attraction matters, if that makes sense. But I definitely want to say that you have to know on the inside who you're dealing with. It's important even just to know that, do you want someone who has the same religion as you? Do you want someone who's family oriented? Do you want someone who travels? Like, what does their lifestyle look like? Do you want someone who's willing to move out of state with you? Or do you want someone who's wanting to live in the state that you are in? Do you want someone who is more like, who likes to stay at home, who's more of a homebody? Or would you like someone who's more into traveling and adventure? What do you want, and who do you want? How does this person look? So I really think it's interesting that we break this down. And I spend so much time on a specific section because a lot of the times I think that people are out here dating and they're just accepting who wants to talk to them. Like, they don't have any, and I'm not saying like have a checkbox of, okay, this isn't it. Like, I'm not saying a person has to meet every single thing on your list. There needs to be some deal breakers though, right? But I'm saying overall, who is this person? How do they come off? What is their persona? Like, what is their aura? Like, what type of energy do they bring when they come into the room? And, what also being aware of what type of energy you give off. You know what I'm saying? What type of person are you? And the person that you want and that you have on paper whom is checking all these boxes, are you also able to be that for them? Are you also able to be someone who is dependable, who makes them feel secure, who makes them feel safe, who has a good personality, who is outgoing, who is able to compromise? Like, these are the things we need to think about. Like, does this person have good communication, right? Like, and not just like talk to me, but like, are they able to listen, understand? Do they like kids? Do they have pets? Do you want pets? I mean, really, this seems so minor, but these things are so important to you understanding what type of people you need to be saying yes to go on a date and exchanging your number with, and what type of people you need to say no to. I don't think that you should be giving everybody your number. I don't. I think we need to have some discernment, because what happens is you end up giving somebody your number and the person that you really like the least is the main one that's hitting you up. But, and then you're annoyed and you like everybody trash, but really you're giving out your number to people who don't even fit your criteria, who don't even fit the type of person you want in your life. Have more discernment. Be picky about whom you give your time and attention to. Not saying like literally be super specific where you don't give anybody a chance because they don't, check all the boxes, but be a little bit open-minded. I'll talk about this in another podcast or another episode in general. I'm not going to hold you guys forever. That's just the gist, right? You clearly can see that I'm passionate about that part, okay? I'm going to move on to number 4. Number 4 in general, I feel like is so freaking important, right? I think that I was talking to one of my clients this week, and she was like, I'm ready to date. I don't want to be lonely anymore. And what I realized is that in learning how to date, I asked her, I said, do you even know how to flirt? Like, what's your flirt game, right? And she was like, I don't even think I know how to flirt. And I'm like, okay, so that's where we start, right? And I guess I'll give a bonus one after this, but it's so important that we learn how to flirt, because as women we think that we just show up because we're beautiful and our bodies looks nice, or we just dress nice and our hair is done, we have our lashes or anything like that. We just think that because we come out, we show up and we step out, that we are good, and that the man who is for us is going to just be all over us and we're gonna find the person that we want. I'm sad to say that that's not how it works, right? Like, back in the day, it probably worked like that because there was like, you only saw and got to engage with the people who was in your immediate, proximity, because there wasn't social media. But now that there's social media, and now that there's so much access to people that are not even in our zip code, there's a lot more factors into attracting somebody or finding somebody you want to spend your life with. So men have more options, right? Like people in general, men and women have more options to that. I don't have to just look at you for looks. We know looks are way more, it's more important things than just looks. So that's not enough to attract a man. Okay. So for one, we need to learn how to flirt. Now, I am not a flirt expert, right, at all. And this means I can help you with all the other stuff. But what I will do is I'm very diligent about figuring out, okay, so when you have a conversation, how does that conversation go? How are you coming off? If you like somebody, do you let them know you like them? Can you flirt with your eyes? So like, what is your body language looking like? Are you in tune with yourself? Like, how confident are you? I would say if you are a woman, and you are wanting to learn how to flirt, and you realize like, dang, my flirt game do suck. Like I like saying to a guy, let me say this. Saying to a guy, oh, you look cute. I like your outfit or whatever, is not flirting. Okay. Guys do not know if you're flirting with them or not. And if you ask me, they'd be like, I don't know, I thought she was just being nice. Like I wasn't sure if she likes me or not, or if she, was trying to flirt with me. You have to give them more indication. Their communication style is way different than us. If a guy comes to you and say, I like your outfit, you may think he like you, right? Because that's just how women work. But for men, it's not always the same way. They don't pick up just on things like that. So if you see a guy and you notice he smells good or something, and you like him, and you're like, oh, he's kind of fine. Let me let him know. You can say, oh, you smell good. What kind of cologne is that? Maybe say a couple of other things to him. And your body language, lean towards him a little bit. Stand a certain way. Do this with your hair. Like people think that that's silly, and I realized in watching shows back in the day, like that's some of the things that they did when we see it, but it really is real. Like communication is more than just words. It's also your body language, right? It's the proximity in which you're close to somebody, letting them smell your perfume, letting them feel your body energy and heat, understanding that it's important to flirt. Even if you're on social media and you see someone you like, flirt with them. Hit them up in their inbox privately, DM. I think sometimes that is a really interesting way to let someone know you like them. But also, I'm bold, so I feel like commenting on their stuff publicly and saying, "Dang, you look good," or heart eyes or something. I don't know. Whatever you're gonna do to flirt, but be intentional about it. And don't think that just your looks alone is going to attract men or going to attract the man that is going to go all the way with you in terms of wanting to be a life partner. I really think it's important that you learn how to flirt, learn how to communicate with your body. I would say for women, again, to be sure that you consider dance classes. Having and going to a dance class, some pole dancing classes, just a regular dancing classes, something to boost your confidence. Even working out helps you to feel more in tune and aware of your body. Doing things like yoga, getting massages, doing things that makes you feel sensual and sexy, dressing up, just so that you feel confident about yourself. Because really, flirting is about confidence, right? Self-confidence. It's about you knowing that you're beautiful. It's about you wanting to exude that and show that and use that. Like, when my husband say like, oh, dang, you fine, or he compliment me, then I just start blushing all over my face. And, I give him some little flirty feedback or whatever. And just in general, that's important. You have to know how to flirt. You can't just be thinking like I'm fine, so man gonna hit me up and he gonna take what he gonna get. That's not how it works. You're gonna be single for a very, 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 very long time if you think that's all you need to do. Besides flirting, I think learning in general the skills of what it takes to maintain a relationship is so important. So, ultimately, we can't just show up, and a lot of our past relationship trauma, a lot of the things that we've suffered from pops into that dating phase of the relationship. And so you may take someone's natural normal response as something that is triggering for you, or it makes you feel rejected, or makes you shut down. So knowing how to communicate through those feelings of rejection, or those feelings of like, oh, I'm not sure if this person really liked me, you need to boost your confidence up. The way that we boost our confidence is by, knowing that we have the skills coming into the relationship to be able to have discernment, clear discernment, to know if this person is for us and if we're being our best selves. I don't think you have to be super healed, right, to pursue a relationship and to have a successful partner and to date really healthily, to not be single. But I do think that you need to have a lot of good self-awareness. And I always say awareness does not equal change. So I also think that you need to be able to have behavioral changes, right? Which is why we work with therapists or coaches or, people to kind of help us with these things. You can definitely go to a therapist and say, hey, I want to learn how to, I want to learn some personal development so that I can attract the partner that I want. Go to someone who's qualified, go to a dating coach, go to a relationship therapist. Go to someone who is specializes in these type of things that can work with you on your own self to be able to give you the skills on, hey, okay, if you're in the moment of dating someone and you're on a date, afterwards, talk to this person, talk to this mentor, this coach, this therapist, say, hey, this is what happened. And this is how, like, do you think I was okay when I said that? Or should I have done something else? Having someone be supportive, but also having someone to give you positive and, constructive feedback during the dating phase and on these dates is so important. I mean, you're not texting your therapist midway, like, hey, like, should I say this? You want to be able to have and trust your own self, but that's a lot of what personal development is about, is learning how to trust your own self and your own voice, so that when you are out on this day, you're confident about who you are. You're confident about how you show up. You're confident about your communication skills. You're confident that your flirt game is on point. Like, you making a man blush. Like, being honest and open so that you are making him also feel like, you want him and that you like him. Because that goes both ways, especially nowadays. I think we need to learn how to adjust with the times. We also need to make the men feel important and wanted and seen. Hey, Auntie, how are you? Thank you. I'm doing well. Um, and I think I was gonna have a bonus, but shoot, I should have wrote it down because I done forgot after all the things I said. If you guys have any questions, please, please, please post them. Let me know how you feel. I'm gonna go through and share some of these comments, even though I read them already. Um, Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys so much. If you have any questions about dating, about personal development, about singlehood, please let me know. Hey Tej, how are you? Yes, please share me. What's your question? Let me know. You can put it in the comments and I'll wait for you to share it and then I'll post it up here. Um, so thank you all again for joining. Let's see what Artesia has to say. If anybody else have a comment, please go ahead and post it in the comment section and I will get to you. In the meantime, I just want to say this, I do feel like there's a lot of the issues that people are having in a single world is really because of women. And I hate to say that, y'all, but like it is. It's because of us. Now, I don't want to say, okay, men are amazing, but at the same time, they have a lot of things that they need to work on. But one thing that I know about men is that they learn through the woman that they love. They learn from the woman that they love, right? They learn, and if you see my Facebook status, they learn through consequences, which I learned from Tony Gaskins. Good morning, Anaris. Hey, girl. But it really is important to understand that women, we have so much responsibility because we are the leaders. Like, I don't know who told us or who made us seem like we weren't. I think, in Bible teachings and learnings that, they talk about the man being the leader, in which he is in aspects of the household and, all of those things, right? And in terms of the family structure in general. But in terms of the energy, love energy specifically, making love go around and like, exuding love into this world and this earth, it's women. We are the leaders of this. And so I want so many women to understand that you're not attracting the people that you want because of you. Like the dating pool is trash because of women, not because of men. Men have a lot of growing to do, but it's because of the women. Like, I'm telling y'all, like, please don't give me a thumbs down. Like, because I'm saying this, I'm saying really hear me, right? It really is important to understand that, like, we as women have so much power. We have the ability. Our femininity is beautiful. It is so powerful. It is so energetic. It is so attractive, right? It's there for a reason. Even men have if you notice, the men that we really like are very masculine, but they also have a little bit of softness to them, nurturance, right? That's the femininity part, right? We love femininity is so very important in all genders, okay? A little bit of it in the men and then the most of it in the women. So understanding that, if we want to have a better dating experience for everybody, we need to set better standards. We need to have better personal awareness about ourselves. We need to command respect. We need to set boundaries. We need to know what we want and not settle for just less just because we just don't want to miss out. Like, we really need to be a little bit more masculine sometimes in our standards of knowing who and what we want and being solid about those decisions and not allowing our emotional vulnerability to creep in, or that fear of missing out, or that we like, oh, my biological clock is running out, or I'm getting older and I'm scared I will never have children. people are literally having children at 50 years old. People are literally getting married at 45. And I know the issue is that, oh, I don't want to wait that long. I want to have it now. But again, that's dating desperate. That's also not having faith that, God is going to, if that's what you believe in, if you believe in God or universe, energy, whatever, that what is for you is going to be for you, and that you have to do the work behind that, but you're also, it's going to come to you, but you can't be doing it desperately. Okay. I'll talk more about that in another show. Lauren said attraction is important, but mental stimulation is more important to me. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Like, attraction in general is, to me, mental stimulation is attraction for me. Like, I'm attracted to a person who's intelligent, who's kind, who can hold a conversation, who is kind to other people, who has good character traits. To me, that is attraction as well, right? When we talk about the physical attraction, physical looks is not as important to me as it is about this person's character and their inner being. So I totally agree with you. It's the mental stimulation. Like, can you engage me in some conversation? Can you teach me new things? And that's one thing, fellas, women love and will marry the man who teaches her some new things. Now, not in a know-it-all matter of fact where you disregard how she feels or you don't think she has enough knowledge, not in that type of narcissism type way, but in a more like, oh, here's my knowledge, or if she has a question, she can come to you. It's so freaking sexy. So thank you for your comment, Lauren. I'm going to go to Artesia. She put her question down there. It says, I am on the fence. I have been single literally all of my life. I go back and forth with wanting to be alone and finding a companion. Me wanting to be alone is because I am independent and I do not want to depend on a man for anything due to the fact that men can be disappointing most of the times. Then the other side of me is wanting a companion just to show that men there is just to show that man there is love out of here for him. Okay, so you're trying to love him, right? I hope I articulated that correctly. I think I understood everything except the last sentence. So if you want to put that in the comments and share a little bit, I would love, so I can help you understand that. I also realize I can invite people on the screen, but we'll figure that out next time. I don't want to mess up nothing. So, okay, you're on the fence because you've been single literally all your life. Honestly, Artesia, there's a lot of women, believe it or not, that are 30-somethings, millennials, who have the same experience. Some of the clients I have not had a relationship, have not had a solid, oh, we're a boyfriend and girlfriend, meeting families type relationship, or maybe you met some of the family, but it's never been like a real solid title. So you are not alone, right? You said me wanting to be alone is because I'm independent and don't want to depend on a man, and not wanting to be disappointed. And I totally understand that, right? I think when we think about independence, and when we think about not wanting to depend on someone, that comes from a lot of disappointment in your past, right? From parents, parental figures, mostly our caregivers, is where we always need to look for when we're understanding what are my traumas, what are my issues, what am I most fearful of, or like, where are my pain points, right? I like to call them pain points sometimes more than traumas. But what issues am I having? And so if you think about not wanting to depend on someone, that's trust, right? That's security, that's protection. That means that in somewhere in your life at some point you have been let down and disappointed by many people, and it's been such a pattern that now you're afraid to even depend on somebody. Two, possibly because it's been thrown back in your face. Now there are people, family members, relationships, people, people that you probably have dated, whom you did give your love to and you were vulnerable with, and when you did that, they end up doing something behind your back, or they end up throwing something in your face that you share with them, or they end up using it against you. So maybe there's been some type of mental or emotional abuse by someone that you love, based on the things based on you being vulnerable with them. When I think about that second sentence, right, or that third sentence of you not wanting to be alone, but you also not wanting to depend on someone, it makes me think about vulnerability. And I think a lot of women talk about vulnerability, and a lot of women talk about, a lot of people in general have an issue with vulnerability, and we are afraid to be vulnerable simply because we are not sure if the people we are going to be vulnerable with are going to take advantage of us, or are going to in turn hurt us. Honestly, heartbreak can cause you to feel like you don't want to no longer depend on anyone anymore, because you feel scared. No one wants to be hurt again. No one wants to be heartbroken. So for you, Artesia, I would really say to explore that inability to feel to safely be vulnerable with people in your life. Because honestly, I would say that needs to start with your inner circle. It needs to start with your friends and family, the people that are closest to you the most. Start with practicing being vulnerable to them. And if you are vulnerable with them, how are they responding to you? Can you think about the way that they're responding to you and say, okay, so then that way I can trust that potentially once I do all the other 3 steps that I talked about right earlier, and reasons why people are single, like doing that inner work, I can know now that I can be able to trust somebody again, because the person that I'm looking for has these qualities. Number one, they have the quality of making you feel secure and safe, meaning like they communicate clearly. They ask you how you feel. They don't, wait till you tell them how they feel. Like they are open with you. They make you feel safe. Maybe they over communicate. You may need a person like that to be able to help you feel safe enough to open up. But that's definitely something that you may want to explore with a professional, just simply because it is hard doing that work on our own. But at the same time, I can understand how you feel. There's so many women like that. There's so many men too, but I particularly feel like there's a lot of more women who are scared to trust themselves out of fear of um, not wanting to be exploited for their vulnerability. So there's definitely some work to be done. There's some boundaries possibly that people have overstepped in your life, and that you need to create more of a solid boundary list and then stick to that. And again, FOMO, not having that fear of missing out syndrome, where you still are allowing people to cross your boundaries when you know you need safety and security in order to build a lasting relationship. So thank you for that question. I think that was beautiful. I hope I answered your question a little bit better. Again, being mindful of the type of person you need is someone who is very communicative, overly communicative, someone who's patient, someone who is understanding and really wants to get to know who you are so that you can feel safe. Because I just want you to know too, Artesia, that you may more than likely need to warm up in that relationship. And so getting someone to understand that you need to warm up, and maybe you just even articulating to someone that you really like, hey, I really like you, but I am a person who needs to warm up a little bit so that I can feel safe and trusting. That's okay. Again, if he's the right person, then he'll be willing to be on the ride with you to warm up, and he'll understand, and he won't push you too far. Okay. And you said, okay, correction. I would like to just show that person that I like that they can be loved properly. I know that's right. And then I feel like too, a lot of women get trapped in that sometimes. We want to show and give love to someone. We want to make them feel all loved. But I think at the same time, we have to be mindful that we are also receiving that love. Sometimes it's easier to give love than to receive love, especially when you talk about what you talked about, Tisha, like with just the fear of being vulnerable and not wanting to depend on someone so much because you're afraid of getting hurt. Um, it's easy to say, let me try to love you, right? Like, you don't got to do all this for me. Let me try to love you, because it's easier and I don't have to worry about getting hurt because all I got to do is pour into you. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I know that was loud. I need to drink some water because my voice is going out. Yeah, I know I talk for a living, so. But in general, you want to make sure that maybe that's your safety net of loving someone more than they love you, so that you don't have to worry about getting hurt, and that hopefully I can love them so much that they don't hurt me, right? I can love them so much that this is enough for me, when in the long run, what you'll realize is that it's not enough, and you do need someone to pour into you, because you'll eventually get burnt out, okay? Real love is equal. You both are loving each other. Don't get on the fence about, don't be in that safe zone to where you're choosing just to love people so that you won't have to deal with the after effects of them loving you, and or wanting to know if you are enough, because you are. Okay. Thank you for that question. Anera said, sometimes independence can be a trauma response. Absolutely. Independence can definitely be a trauma response. It can be, of course, because again, if you have been let down or betrayed in the past, or if you have family members or your initial caregivers like your mom and dad or whoever was the people who were your guardians, if they came through and they were the ones who let you down, or you could never depend on them, or again, if someone was loving you or you were in a relationship and they took advantage of your love or your vulnerability, and when you did need them the most and you didn't have anything of your own, they exploited that and they took advantage of that, and there was some emotional and mental abuse, not like to extreme, but even subtle type of, oh, well, you're gonna do this because I'm doing this for you, I'm taking care of you, like constantly bringing those things up in your face. That is definitely a trauma response. Again, those things need to be handled and explored with someone who's professional that can help you with understanding how can you get unstuck from that, how can you feel safe again, what does that safetyness look like for you? What is, loving someone and maintaining your independence look like? Because it's possible to have both, right? Having that autonomy, but also blending in with someone else to create your own specific union. It's all possible, but I think we got to understand why we're fearful and how that shows up in our relationships. So, yeah, thank you so much for that, Anaris. Amon, you said you wanted to hop on real quick and show some love. Keep doing your thing. I'll see you next time, family. Do because thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for being on. Okay, Artesia, you said absolutely. Thank you guys for joining so much. Good morning, Tiara. Thank you for joining. Okay, Anaris, you said vulnerability is a superpower, not a weakness. Absolutely. Okay, it really is. I know that it feels unsafe to be vulnerable, but again, that's why you just can't be giving out your number to anybody, right? That's why you can't just be, telling everybody your story. You can't be, it's not okay to do all those things because you really want to be able to know if this person is someone you can trust. And you can't be afraid of running them away. You don't want to hold things so tightly to you that you don't open up to receive who you want or receive the people who are out there for you. But you also want to make sure that you are creating a balance to where it's okay to be vulnerable, but that resides in the people whom you surround yourself with. That the safetyness or the ability to be vulnerable, it really relies on who your circle is, what type of people you're bringing into your life. How do they comfort you? How do they support you? How do they give you feedback when you are struggling? Or how do they comfort you in times of need? I really do think that that's important. It is very much a superpower, and not a weakness at all. It's the most essential thing if you want to build a relationship with someone. Vulnerability is like number one. I'm being honest. Like, you have to be able to be vulnerable. If you are not, you're gonna have a very difficult time creating connections with people, because connections are created through vulnerability, through those moments that are tough that you go through when you share together. I can honestly say in my marriage, the times that were the most scariest, for me and interpersonally, were the times where and my husband came through and supported me. The times where I was like, oh, I don't really want to share this because I'm afraid you're going to judge me, or you may not love me, or, I'm having so much shame and guilt about how I feel or me feeling this way. But those are the moments where my husband supported me the most. And I felt so freaking more connected to him. It was beautiful. So vulnerability is so essential, but you don't want to just give it away immediately. You really want to get to know and make sure this person is someone who's safe to be able to be vulnerable with, right? And I could talk about how to do that in a whole nother video. I can do a entire video on vulnerability. Okay, Anaris, thank you so much for that. Artesia said, should there be boundaries in a relationship? Absolutely, there should be boundaries in a relationship. You have to have boundaries in a relationship, or else you get all walked over. I actually was talking to a client yesterday, and I told her, she was like, okay, well, I want me and my spouse to be able to be free and open, I want him to be able to do what he want to do, da, da, da. And I said, okay, are you sure? Because when you say things like do what you want to do to men, that means everything goes, right? I think like it's okay to be cool. We want to be the laid back chick, back woman. We want to be the laid back chick, the not sweating everything, the have fun girl. We want to be free and open if that's your vibe. I'm such a free spirit. So I completely understand her. But at the same time, you have to learn boundaries. You cannot allow anybody just to do anything that they want to, even about your space, even about your time, even about communication, even about having so much say so in your decisions in your life. There has to be boundaries. We need autonomy, which is we need our own identity in any relationship in order for the relationship to work. If you don't have your own identity in a relationship, then you it's more than likely that you don't have any boundaries, because you're just kind of going with the flow with the person you're with, or you kind of change according to the people you're around. If you have boundaries, then yes, you're always easily distinguishable from other people, even your spouse. And we know who you are. We know what you like. We know what's off limits. Even your spouse needs to know what's off limits for you, or what's too much, right? And having a conversation about that, I feel like is really important, because it allows you to understand and articulate what your boundaries are. So yes, boundaries are important in a relationship, for sure. What you want, baby? You want bar? You gotta wait till baby wake up. You gotta go take it and ask her. Sorry, my baby woke up, so she wants candy in the morning, of course. All right. Okay. So Artesia, thank you so much. You said, wow, I just hit the spot. You're so welcome. Thank you for asking your question. It was so needed. And I hope that it helps some other people. Anera, she said, I am a very vulnerable person, and I do believe it has helped me in many of my relationships, not just with my significant other, but with family and friends as well. Absolutely. Yeah, it really does help you with family and friends. I can say that personally, it's very difficult to be vulnerable with the family and friends sometimes because you don't know how people are going to judge you. And or you just feel so much shame about feeling what you feel or struggling with what you're struggling with. As a community and a society, we don't really honor so much of being able to be in the moment or really feel what we feel and to really have that time with our emotions because we're so always rushed to get over it and to move on and to be okay and to look strong. There's always this language out there and this pressure out there to get over things quickly, and that's not how it goes. So of course there's a lot of shame around vulnerability because we feel like we're supposed to get over it quickly. We feel like we shouldn't still be having these emotions and these feelings. We feel like, we keep telling the same sob story. We keep telling the same story. Or why can't I? Like, we feel shame. And so then we project that into our family members as if they can't deal with what we're wanting to share with them or that they may judge us or they may feel like not be able to tolerate us or maybe it's too much for them. And so then we start to feel insecure about our own issues. And so then we hide them and we keep them to ourselves. But being able to share that with your friends and family actually allows them to get to know you. It makes you feel connected. I'm not even kidding when I say being vulnerable and when people are there for you, it makes you feel so much closer to them. Like you feel like you know them. So if you want to talk about being close with your family members and friends, then ask yourself, are you being vulnerable with them? Are you sharing the things that are hardest for you to talk about with them and confiding in them, not even for advice, but just for support or just to say, hey, this is what I'm going through. If you're not doing that, then that's the reason why you're not having close relationships because you're too busy trying to look strong or keep things to yourself, or you're too afraid to share what you feel because you're afraid of being vulnerable. You're shameful for what you're going through. So thank you for that, Aniris. That was really good. Okay, Aniris, you said, yes, you have to be cautious of who you allow in your life, but when you let the right people in your life, you can open up for sure. Absolutely, you can. I agree 100%. Who you deal with is a detriment of how you feel about yourself. In most cases, sometimes people are just jerk faces, and no matter who you are as a person, they won't change. That's very true. You have to literally have discernment and to know when to let people go. And again, that's that fear of missing out that goes back to desperate dating or desperate loving, whatever we're going to title it. I might do a whole segment on desperate dating and things like that. But if you are so afraid of being alone, or if you're so afraid of losing someone, you tolerate and accept more things than you need to constantly over and over again. And you want to keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. And for women especially, we tend to have so much empathy for these people where we we care so much more about how they feel than how we do. We care more about that, dang, but they don't got nobody. If I kick them out, then they really gonna be on their own. If I leave them, then they're gonna say, just like that last person that left them, I'm just like them. We get gaslighted sometimes into staying longer than we need to. So you have to be willing to let people go when it's time, because people don't change for us. They don't change for us. They change because of who we are and because of the boundaries you set, because of the things that you no longer tolerate. And if they love you enough and they love themselves enough to want to be with you and be in your space, when you set those boundaries and those standards, they will continue to be there and they will do the work that's necessary. But they don't change just because we said they need to change. They don't change because we mad. They don't change because there's tears. They don't change because you're going like, no, people don't change for those reasons. You have to understand that if you really want someone to change, it needs to be you who change. Meaning, like, you need to change how you respond to them. You need to change what you tolerate. You need to stricken your boundaries and stick to them so that you get the respect you want and you get to cultivate the people whom are best fit for your life, not just for the moment because you're fearful of being alone, but for forever, right? Period. Okay. Thank you guys so much for the questions, Aniris. Thank you. This topic it was really good. You guys came through. Okay. I did not anticipate being on here for 44 minutes, but I am, and so it's cool. I love you guys so much. I could talk forever as well. Thank y'all for joining. Of course, as always, if you have any more questions, let me know. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's called The Married Millennial. Go find me and subscribe to it because I will be going live on there often. You also can get invited to join my session sometimes. So if you ever want to go live with me and you have a question and you want to be on screen, let me know. Inbox me, message me, text me, call me, and we can get you on here and we can talk about whatever you need. I appreciate you guys as always. Again, don't forget to hit the notification button if you're on YouTube to know when I upload videos. And if you are on Facebook, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I hope y'all have an amazing day. Peace out.